Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make this Minky quilt. It's got some mystical, magical things in it, like dragons, but it also has some John Deere tractor stuff, fabric. There's a little tractor there. We know Rick likes John Deere. We got unicorns and all kinds of things. I'll just show you around. We got some cranes. Cranes are for love. Oh, and here we got another little otter. Kathy's last name has otter in it. We also have some wizards and glittery prints, nice little foxes and celestial kind of things. And Kathy's my angel, so got an angel in there for her. And Kathy and Rick like dogs. It's quite an interesting lot of material in here. So we're gonna get together and get your fabrics together in a Minky back, and then I'll show you how to make this. This is the back we have. It's a printed Minky with stars, and it looks kind of like magical, so I thought that might go good with this theme. But really, you're just gonna have a lot of different kind of fabrics in it. I have a few patches in here that were extra from a quilt. Not sure where they are right now. Oh, here's one. Well, this one Kathy's mom made, so that's going to be part of this legacy of quilt. And I made this one down here. So I just used up odds and ends and also fabrics that they might like. So let's go make some Minky magic. Okay, we're going to make this Minky blanket for Kathy and Rick. And the background for their Minky is all these stars, because they're YouTube stars, right? So, and this is kind of mystical, magical too. So we're going to use this for their background. And I have one more otter print. If you've seen any of the other ones, the other videos I've done. So I'm going to cut this one down a little bit smaller, so I can put a whole lot of other different prints around him. Or it. Okay. So let me just get this ready. So the otter will kind of be like the centerpiece, but he'll just kind of be floating amongst the other patches. I don't want all the Minky blankets with the otters to look alike, although we know they aren't because there's so many different pieces of material on them. Now, we could probably use this material somewhere else, so we'll save that on the cutting room floor, right? Okay, so I get 2 yards of Minky. That makes sure it's long enough for Rick because he's a tall guy. And we're going to open up the Minky with the wrong side up. I'm going to lay the otter on here. He's pretty long. And we want to make sure that the background, which is going to be the backing, is going to be very smooth. We don't want any lumps or bumps in that because it'll be permanent. So I'm just going to pin the otter on here. That's my biggest piece. I don't like to make it look like I'm putting it in the middle or on an end or any special place, because then it'll look off if it's supposed to be like centered or anything, and I don't like to center anything. life is not centered. Okay, so we're just gonna keep pinning around here. He's a little cutie, isn't he? And this blanket is going to be for Kathy and Rick, so we don't want to do it with all like one thing, like all girly kind of pixie stuff or anything. So I found some fishing flannel that I had, and we know Rick likes to fish, so we've got a few pieces of that to add in. And we've got some dogs. I've got a little mix of flannel and regular cotton, quilting cotton, and this flannel has coffee on it. And we know Kathy and Rick drink coffee. This little one has a little bit of music, clefs on it. Here's some otters, and the bear, horses. They like animals, foxes, a giraffe. Some more stars because they're my YouTube stars. And here's a piece that will work in of part of a quilt that my mom made. So that'll be part of this one too. Kathy likes sleds. You've seen her sled pot holders. That's left over from that. We've got little paw prints, hearts, mermaids. And I like llamas, so they're getting a piece of llama in there. A little bit of Disney print. And here's some flamingos. Some sparkly unicorns, hedgehogs. We've got quite a variety. Little bunnies. And I think they're my earth angels, so we'll put an angel in there. And we've got some celestial and butterflies. More stars. Others. Owlies. We've got like a wizard, because they're pretty much food wizards. Some more stars. And a unicorn. Dragons. This is going to be a little mishmash for them, huh? And clouds. And lightning bolts. Those are pretty swirlies if they fit in. Ladybugs for luck. More celestial. Got a little bit of glittery. Rainbows are always good. We'll just have to see how much of this we can get in there. Alright, let's see. There's these fun dogs. Let's see what else here. Oh, there's an eagle. Alright. I think that'll be good. Wait a minute. Gotta get some butterflies in there. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is take a piece of, let's start with this one, fishing, and we're going to place it wrong side up, so right sides together, and what we'll do is stitch here, and then we'll fold it out like this, and then we'll place another piece and stitch there. So I'm going to take you over to the sewing machine now. Let me pin this one on just so I get it in a good spot. And I think while I'm here, that angel piece was pretty big, so I would like to place that somewhere else on here while I have a nice big flat smooth surface. Okay, I don't usually do a whole lot of pinning because I don't want to get my hands stuck with pins all the time. But what I'll do is I'll get all the material around the otter so I can get all of his pins out, and then we'll come and put the stuff around the angel. And just gotta get that back smooth for sure, because we don't want to have any wrinkles in there in the back. Because once you've put all these patches on, it's pretty much impossible to get the wrinkle out, and you really don't want to have to rip the Minky. The Minky is just way too much, too hard to rip anything out of it. It's sort of chewy. It's a knit. It gets holes in it if you try to do that. Try to rip anything. Okay, that's good. That's nice and smooth. And what I'll do while I'm here is I'll find a piece of something long enough. Like the stars here. And I'll pin that on right away. That way I can sew that one down. Okay, so we're going to take this over to the sewing machine with our pile of goodies. And if you want to get a piece of Minky and some of your blocks that were extra, or anything like that that you want to put into your Minky blanket, and bring them along and we'll sew it together. Okay? Okay, so now that we have stitched this down and opened it up, we're going to add another piece in. And I didn't come right to the edge here, so I think what I'm going to do is take a piece of something and angle it. So let's see what we've got. We got some coffee material here. So let's take that and make sure that we cover this joint here on the angle. Alrighty, and we'll just stitch across. Watch your pins. Make sure there's no wrinkles. Okay, so there's a couple options you got here. First of all, you can leave this piece here, which a lot of times I do. But this time I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to take out this darker part because the piece over top is light, and I just don't want it to show through. Okay, so then we open this one up. Make sure the back is smooth. Make sure that we don't feel any pins under there. And I will cut this one off close to the pink one. That way it'll be easier to add another piece onto that. Okay, so you've got the idea there. I'm going to try to get down to that otter next, okay, so you can see me do a little bit with that. that you don't stick yourself with something going on this side when we're going to go working on another side. Eventually I'll get these to meet in the middle, and then we'll have less pins to mess around with. Okay, so here we have the otter, and we have this piece of fishing material on there. Okay, so we're going to stitch that down. Same thing, making sure there's no wrinkles. I want to be sure that Minky's nice and flat in the back. And we also have to be careful not to stretch it when we're pushing it into the needle. A lot of times once I get a little bit of fabric on, I'll reach back to where the seam was made with the cotton and just gently pull on that to help guide it through. You don't want to do it too much because it'll stretch on you. Okay, so now we'll open that up, but first we'll make sure there's no pins. Okay, yeah. That's cool. It's got a nice fish on there for Rick. Okay. Alrighty. Now we can just decide which way we want to go here. I think I'll go a little bit backwards. It's easier to pull it out that way. Okay, we're going to add another piece on. Here's a little piece of bunny flannel, so I'll put that on here. And when I get to this kind of situation where I don't have enough to go over it, or I just don't go over the piece below, I fold it up. Because then when we open it up, we can finish it off and stitch on top to just have no fraying going on. Okay? So I'll pin that end up because I really don't want to, and then there's a pin underneath here, so we use that. And since I'm like actually running off of the otter print, I'll just sew that down, and then we'll cover it up with another piece. Okay. Now it seems to be taking a long time to get down there. So what I think I'm going to do, which will work out good, is increase my stitch length to like 2.8, and then that'll go a little faster, and it's really getting thick, so it'll hold it just fine. We won't need to worry about the stitches breaking or anything. Okay, now this one we're going to open up, smooth out underneath it. Make sure I don't feel any pins in there. I have done that, and I've had to find a way to open up a seam or cut it out and then put a patch over it, so save yourself some time if you just get the pins out right away. I want to show you how I do this when I get down here where we have it folded up. I don't want this little part to show here. Like if I stitch down, let me see, show you a little better. Okay, so where I have folded it over, get the pins out, I'm going to just stitch this down like this because something else will go over it. Now, right here we have a kind of where the fold is, and if we just stitch it down, it's going to show. So I take the very end of it with a pin and tuck it under, and then pin this down. And that keeps it from looking like too bulky and like the end was sticking out. Now I'm going to sew on the top of the material this time, because the piece wasn't long enough to go over, which is fine. We're just gonna put a needle in there, make sure everything's nice and flat, and I'm just gonna sew from here to here on top of the fish material. Okay, so what that did is it finished the edge, so there's no fraying gonna happen here, and it looks like it's just layered, you know, and it's supposed to be on top of that. So like I said, there's no rules, and that's like one of the ways we managed to get around that. Okay, so I'm gonna let you go get your bunches of fabric that you want to put on a Minky blanket, and any like lonesome quilt blocks that you maybe made for another project or you didn't want to finish. Anything you didn't want to finish, stick it on here because it'll help add to the interest. It'll make it look pretty, and it will keep you warm, and you'll be able to still see the work that you did in that block. Okay, so have fun, and I'll come back when it's time to put the binding on. Okay, so now we've finished putting all the cloth pieces on the top of this Minky fabric. Got quite a variety in here, and big and little pieces, so it's very interesting. And now we're gonna put the binding on. And usually I take a roll of something that I bought at a yard sale or online somewhere. But I also have a few rolls of double wide binding. So this is double fold, sorry. This is double fold binding. And it's on a bias so it'll wear better. So I'm gonna use this roll. I got it from homesew.com. They're out of Bethlehem, and they're the nicest people, and they have a lot of variety of bindings. I have a roll of blue gingham type check, and I have this mint green and white, which would be good, but I think the black will look really a little bit more stunning on here, especially with this black and blue and white background. So I'm gonna flip my blanket over, and I start putting this on the back. Okay, so now here is the selvage, which I don't want those words to show, but so I'll stitch somewhere, you know, after that. Okay, so I'm going to open up the binding, and on this one fold here I'm going to stitch on that line. So I'll stitch right along there. I'm going to open it up all the way and fold this under, so when I come wrapping around the other edge, I'll just be able to have a finished edge here. Okay, so this is kind of sometimes a little bit harder to use for me because it's not as wide. It's, you know, the total width here is, let's see, usually I use 2.5 inch strips, but this is, it's 2, so it's just a 1/2 inch shy of what I usually use, so I just have to be a little more careful when I flip it over and onto the front side. so I'm going to go a little ways, and then I'm going to make sure I'll flip it over and none of the words show here. So that's what we're after. We just want to make sure that we don't leave any of these words along the selvage. I usually trim the selvage off, but this time I kind of went right out to the edge. It's like I said, there's no rules about it, so. Okay, double check again, because there's no words there, and that's nice. It literally looks kind of pretty. So I'm gonna just keep going around this whole blanket, and when I get to the other side and I'm flipping it over, I'll show you what I do for that. Okay, when I get to the corner on the back side, I'm gonna spin it like the 90 degrees, open it up, and fold it up all the way. Try to get rid of all your strings before when you see them, so you don't have to trim so much at the end. Okay, so you push this up out of the way, and you're making a 90-degree angle here. Okay, and that's what's going to give you a miter when you're turning it over to the front. And you just keep stitching down along that fold line. Okay, so I'm coming up on the another corner. This edge is where the other selvage is, so rather than go to 1/4 of an inch, I'm just going to go back behind this line here. Okay, needle down, spin it 90 degrees, open it up, and push it all up flat. Alright, now, got a nice fold there. And that looks great. So we're just going to keep going around until I get to the other edge. Okay, so we have reached the overlap here, the last piece of binding coming over. We sewed it fast over that fold. So now when we fold it out and over the other edge, it's going to be a finished edge. So I'm going to just show you how I kind of, this is where the end is, but I go up here a little further to give myself a running start. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now this is folded over once, so we're gonna see there's some places here where we may want to trim some of that Minky away because this is a narrower binding. So just make sure you don't cut into the quilt behind and into the binding. Be careful. Watch what you're doing. I won't have to do this in all of the places because some of this is where the selvage had words on. And if you want, you can actually roll that in. It'll make kind of a beady kind of binding if you don't want to trim this stuff off. It's whatever you like. No rules. Okay. Just do a little more. This one edge was just a little bit like wider than the rest because of that. The words. And while I'm here, when I get down to the corner, I'm going to cut. Now, the binding is right there, so I'm just going to give it like 1/4 of an inch so that we can get the corner folded over. And then I'll just trim this side a little bit because the corner tends to get very bulky. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this. The one reason I don't use binding that's folded very much is because of the iron line. If I had no crease there, I would have more flexibility, but that's why I trimmed it down. So now where the crease is, it'll look nice and crisp on the edge. I'm just gonna stitch that down very close to the edge of the binding. Don't miss it. You gotta make sure you catch it. And then when we get down where these other two meet, I'll show you. Okay, so we've got the corner. I'm just gonna make that edge stand up for a minute. Then we've got these two where they overlap. So I'm gonna open up the top one, which is now on the bottom, and put them together so they don't get puckered. Okay, and now there they are, and I'm just going to stitch that down. And when you get to that thick spot where there's those two pieces, go a little fast so that you get over it and don't break your needle. There, just like that, you're done. Okay, so now I've got the corner here. So I'm going to fold that down on that edge. I'm going to put my finger in here and miter that corner down. This is nice and smooth, and there's a little fold here, and you just have to stitch in the corner and around. We don't have to go into the line that makes the miter. So now I'm on the piece of fabric that's on this side, right on the edge of it, and I'm going to put my needle down and spin it. Just make sure you catch both pieces in the corner, which I did, and that'll stay. And it'll look like a picture frame. Alright, so I'm just going to go around the rest of this edge, and when the blanket's all done, I'll give you a show and tell. Okay, so once all the binding got on this quilt, this is how it ended up. This really nice black and white binding looks good on it all the way around. It sort of ties it all together. And we've got the mitered corners, so that will last a long time. It's actual bias binding, so that will wash well. And when you have these kind of blankets, you have to wash them often. You don't want to sleep in any kind of dust. Alrighty, let's just see. We've got some fishing fabric over here because Rick likes to fish, and they both like coffee. So we got coffee material. There's a few strings I still gotta get off of here. Let's see. They cook all the time, so I put some cheese in there. Thought that would be fun. And then there's another piece of fish material, and there's his Rick's tractor. And we even have a little Disney dogs and some otter fabric. So I hope you had fun with this, and I hope your Minky blankets come out nice and Maybe you could send me a picture once in a while. Show me the things you're making. Have a razzle-dazzle day.